everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the JPI's fundraising live stream. Before we begin, this is just a quick reminder for you to click the link in our description box below and donate to our COVID crowdfunding campaign in association with Give India, Uplift, and Ojala Foundation. We really appreciate your support through these tumultuous times and for helping us make a difference.
Welcome to the College Roundtable Brown edition. Today we are joined by 4 students from the phenomenal Brown University, Priyal Gupta, Rita Kirwal, Kritika Srivastav, and Kanika Milani. Hi, we're so excited to have you guys on board. We have so much to ask you.
So I think we should just start with a quick introduction. Brown being one of the most prestigious universities in the world. So what in particular drew everyone over here to Brown, and what concentrations are you studying there?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Priyal. I graduated from Brown in May of 2020, and I studied applied math and economics, but I took, random coursework in learning Mandarin, religious studies, also some writing classes. And this is precisely why I chose Brown. For me, it was kind of like this gourmet, like buffet of, like you can really pick and choose what you want to study, and it does not necessarily have to be your concentration. Yeah, that's why I picked Brown, and thankfully it was the right choice. So yeah, we can go to the next person.
Hey, I'm Reet. I am a senior here. I'm class of 2021, but I have one more semester left at Brown. My concentration is computer science with the design and AI ML pathways, but I also spend a lot of time doing visual arts and cognitive science and just like a lot of different things like Priyal said, just like, branching out as much as I can. I think I counted off being done with or having taken classes in 12 departments at Brown by the end of this semester. So yeah, trying to make the most out of that.
Hi everyone, my name is Kanika. I am actually a medical student at Brown, so I'm pursuing my MD. I'm also pursuing my master's in population medicine at the same time. And so I'm nearing the end of my first year here. And I chose Brown because it has a lot of options for dual degrees, which is really helpful if you're going to medical school or any sort of graduate school. And particularly for medicine, it's great because it's a really big research university. So there's so many options to get involved in really like groundbreaking, cutting edge research, which is really great for me. And that's the case for, not just medicine, but a variety of other subjects as well. But in addition to that, Brown's Med School has a huge focus on the humanities, which is really great if you're studying science all the time and you need sort of a break from that. So a combo of those reasons is why I ended up here.
Hi everyone, I'm Kritika, and I'm actually going to start in the fall this year. And the reason that I chose Brown was because I have a lot of different interests, and I just sort of wanted to experiment as much as possible. So I think I'm going to major in computer science or economics. I'm not sure yet, but yes, the open curriculum will just allow me to see what I like.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I think all of you spoke a little bit about the open curriculum at Brown, which is known to allow students a greater freedom to study what they choose. And I'm sure it helps them a lot in developing a personalized course of study. So how would you guys say that the open curriculum has impacted your life at Brown? And are there any negative aspects to it that could be overlooked?
Yeah, so I think the open curriculum really allows you to take charge of your knowledge and your personal growth. And for me, I think I really wanted to challenge myself. And that's why I took Mandarin, because I think it's one of the toughest languages out there. All the characters are so different. They don't really have, vowels or, I don't know, the entire language system is actually quite unique. And I had a few friends who were actually Chinese, and they, they challenged me too. They were like, okay, let's see if you actually take it. And I did. So that was fun. So I think the good thing about the open curriculum is you can challenge yourself, and that allows you to grow. Some drawbacks, I would say, if you're a person who has a lot of interests, it is very much possible that you get pulled in many different directions, and then it confuses you. So for me, I think in my second year, I thought maybe I wanted to do development studies. So not exactly economics, something very different, more altruistic, more research-based. And I took some classes in that field too, and I really liked it. So it's a really tough decision, kind of like zoning down on what your final concentration is going to be, because sophomore year or end of sophomore year, you have to settle down on one concentration. You have to declare. So I think I would say that's the toughest part about Brown's open curriculum.
That's really insightful. Thank you. Before we move forth, Reed, could you, just for people that don't know, could you explain once what the open curriculum exactly is before you?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of US universities, especially within the liberal arts education, have this idea of the core or like a sort of core curriculum alongside electives where they define a structure for the students. So, all students have to take a math class, a class in the sciences, a writing class, and just like try to develop a certain structure around which every student has to go through. And then they can choose electives based on like their own personal interests. So what Brown does is kind of takes that structure and throws it out the window and says, you are in charge of your education and you can take any class that you want any time of your journey at Brown. And but while doing so, they recognize the importance of depth, and so you still have the concept of concentration. So while you're able to take classes in many different areas, you do need to like pick one, like Priyal said, by the end of your sophomore year, and like do that as your main area of study, but then be able to do other things as well. Does that help clarify what the open curriculum is for people? Or Priyal, do you want to add anything? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Ivy League schools are known to be highly competitive and rigorous. Has there been any point in time at Brown that you have found yourself prey to unhealthy competition? And if you have, how have you managed to deal with it and create like a healthy balance between competition and your own individual growth?
I think for me, what I saw at Brown was people were mostly very collaborative and very open, and quite sensitive in the sense that they would not really bring up things that might induce anxiety or feelings of competition. So we never really shared like our GPAs or grades in classes or how much we scored on tests. Like that was just never part of conversation. But I know that at certain colleges where it's more academic and GPAs, that's a thing. We don't have grades at Brown, like the 4.0, like that scale. We don't have it. We just have ABC and fail or pass fail. So yeah, like at least in the circles I was part of, there's not really much of toxic competition. If anything, is very friendly, collaborative sort of environment. And I think competition, maybe the only place where I saw it was when it comes to recruiting. So it was not like a toxic competitive, like, oh, we're going to hide these resources from you so you don't, do well in this interview, for example. It would be more so, I think, people would be less collaborative in preparation for those interviews. And those could just be like a personal choice. So yeah, in my time, I mean, I never experienced any sort of negative competition from my peers.
Yeah, just to very like a small addition to that is, and this is following what we talked about earlier, but is like everyone is like personally competitive just because they are so good at what they do, but because everyone is on such different individual journeys anyway that are so different from each other's, like competition between each other doesn't doesn't making sense anyway. So you're just like everyone's like going down their own path and like is being good at what they're doing, but there's just like nothing really much to compete on with someone else either.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I could not put it into words, but that's exactly why.
Yeah, so going along with what Priyal and Reet said, Brown's Med School, like most med schools in the US, it's graded pass fail. And so with that, everyone shares notes, everyone shares flashcards, everyone shares study guides, because at the end of the day, like if something is pass fail and you have people in medical school, everyone's already very driven. No one's really going to fail anyway. And so it sets up a very collaborative environment, which is really great. And it's also different because everyone wants to pursue different specialties within medicine. So you're not really directly competing against each other. It's more everyone's trying to help each other do the best that they can to succeed in, whatever path that they want to do. So Brown's super collaborative. Of course, sometimes it can seem like, oh my God, everyone is so smart here. Like it can be overwhelming at times, I think, but everyone is very friendly. And so I never feel like, too overwhelmed that I can't handle it. It's just mostly like a good feeling that you're in a place where everyone is, working really hard to be where they want to be.
Kritika, could you elaborate on the college admissions process and the competitive environment there?
Yeah. Okay, so I think as I went through the college admissions process, I must have changed my dream school about, I think, 5 to 6 times. It changed like day by day, and I couldn't make up my mind. And I think like while it works out for most people, the concept of a dream school and all of that pressure that you put on yourselves, it's just too much, and it's not healthy most of the times. And sometimes it's amazing and it works out, but most of the times it doesn't. And so, I mean, as you enter the process, the most important thing is to take care of your mental health. Other than that, you'll have a lot of help, and you'll have a lot of help for grades and SATs and extracurriculars. All of that like hasn't changed. um, I think what advice I would have there is to just do extracurriculars that you actually enjoy. Again, this is going to sound like something that everyone says, but don't just do extracurriculars for college, because it shows when you do that. Do things that you enjoy, do things that you have fun with. And same with the college applications process. It's going to be really stressful for you guys, but try to have fun with your essays. Try to write things that you love instead of things that you think will get you in. And yeah, I think that's what I did with my Brown essays. I think I was the most myself with my Brown essays. I tried the most to not stick to a pattern and just go with whatever came to my mind. I'm not saying be unprepared, but be yourself. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for that.
So speaking from the perspective of a student that's just beginning to apply to college, I think it's safe to say that it can often be very difficult to predict beforehand how colleges are actually going to be. So is there anything about Brown that you wish that you knew before you joined?
I'll take a few minutes to think about that.
Of course. Until then, if you guys want, I had another follow-up question regarding what Kritika just said. And she spoke a lot about mental health and how it's very, very important to focus on mental health, especially during times like these where we're in the middle of a pandemic. So how have you guys like focused on your mental health, like especially considering you're at such a competitive school, and I'm sure you guys have so much work all the time. How have you guys managed to kind of take care of your mental health in the process?
I can try to answer this while Priyal is still thinking of her response to the other one. But so I think there are some key points here. One is like recognizing when you're not doing as well. I think that's like kind of the first step, because only when you're able to recognize that you're not doing as well will you be able to take further steps to like take time out for yourself. And so, just like being self-aware around that is important, or is something I've been trying to do. And then once you're at a point where you kind of realize that you may not be hitting the right balance that you need, some of the things that I think have been important for me is like leaning into like my friends as support more, and just like, trying to just like get more support from them, like talk to them more. That's been important to me. Another big one is like being in communication with my professors. Almost every professor I have come across has been very understanding and has been super nice. And so it's like, if you just communicate with them, there's a very good chance that they will be understanding of your situation and will try to accommodate you. And so I think they also emphasize like the point of like placing yourself first. So, if that is something that you're actively trying to do and your academics as like sort of coming in the way of that, you try to be more open about it and try to take that time properly. And then beyond that, once you do get some time, it's just like figuring out what works best for you to get yourself back up and strike your balance properly.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I feel like Brown is really great at taking care of their students. And so personally for me, if, work gets to be too much, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, like, I just have to wait till the weekend. And once the weekend comes, then I can relax a little bit. And that was sort of my mindset at the beginning of the year. But I found that that's not really the best way to handle things. So every day I try to do something that I enjoy instead of waiting till the weekend and, having a hard week and then, getting to that point. So even if it's a little thing, like, the beach is so close by, maybe sometimes I'll just drive over to the beach. Sometimes I'll bring my spike ball net and my friends and I will play that on the lawn or something. There's so many great restaurants. Sometimes I'll just do that. I always make sure to do something that I enjoy every day. And, some days like today, I got back from clinic at 9:30 and it was hard. And I'm not going to do work the rest of the day because I don't feel like it, and that's okay. So I think it's important to recognize when you're pushing yourself too hard, make sure you stop so that you don't get burnt out, because if you get burnt out, then nothing's going to work anyway. But Brown is really great at providing a lot of resources for mental health. Like for the med school, there is a psychologist who works there, and they do bi-weekly yoga and meditation sessions, and they're super understanding of any sort of situations going on. And so, if you need an extension, if you need to do something at a different time, they'll totally let you do it, because I think they understand that, you're an adult. If things come up, they come up, and, you have to be able to take care of yourself to do well in school. So Brown is a really great place for that specifically.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think that really helped us understand, because I'm sure it's really difficult trying to get time for yourself, especially when you're at such a competitive grade school. So that was really great. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I guess I can say it in the context of, when you move out of Brown, when you graduate and you're starting your new like adult life, I guess. It's very easy to feel once you're out of Brown, even if you've had, even if you have a job, even if things seem like, they're all perfect on paper, you soon realize that maybe that's not the case. And it could be because of many reasons. Like one, you're moving to a new city, probably don't have the same friend group around you, the same kind of comfort of your campus. the same kind of professors to lean on. And in a lot of cases, I think it's difficult to look at your job, which usually, is kind of like, when is this thing going to end? Am I going to be working 9 to 5 or whatever, for the rest of my life? Whereas for Brown, I think there's a definite timeline. Like typically you're going to graduate within 4 years. This is what each semester is going to look like. But once you're out of Brown, it's kind of difficult to do that and really know like where life is going to take you in the future. So being uncertain about your future, like realizing that's okay, trying to live in the moment. And that can also, again, be, like doing meditation, if you use any of those meditation apps, or if your mom can chant to you, I don't know. Or for me, I really find a lot of joy in just cooking food for myself, taking nice pictures of the food and eating it. That's for me a moment of de-stressing and celebrating myself. And again, right now in the pandemic, it's really hard to meet with friends, even if they're in the same city as you. So playing like online games, there's like Catan, they're online. I played it with a few friends, not as fun, but still a fun thing to do. Netflix parties. So yeah, just trying to find, I guess, like the light at the end of the tunnel and know that you can always find some positivity in your day, no matter how hard it is, how different it is from, what it was maybe in college.
Awesome. Okay. So it is great to hear that, because as someone in high school who's like struggling to get work done every day and having more things pile up, it's okay to take a break sometimes, and just hearing that it just gives me some joy. So going back to what Samara had asked, is there anything about Brown you guys wish you knew before you joined? Something about the professors maybe, or the traditions at Brown?
I think for me, I wish I knew how great the language programs at Brown are. When I joined, I didn't research extensively into that and only found out my sophomore year about it. So that's one thing I wish I knew more about. And also like some of the campus jobs that are so incredible, such as at the Global Brown Center, which also does the international orientation. I later joined it, I think, in my junior year, and it really defined my experience in my last 2 years. So those two things.
Yeah, I wish I knew how open some of the clubs were for people with no experience. Like I know when I was just starting, or what even before that, I was only primarily looking at extracurriculars or clubs that were already within my domain of interest. But there are just so many possibilities here, and a lot of them are just like, they're just very open to having people without any background in those areas come join them. And I think if I need that, or was just aware of the value of that, I think I would have leaned into that more.
Yeah, for me, so I didn't go to Brown for undergrad. I went to undergrad, and my undergrad it was really big. It had way more people than Brown did. So coming here, now my class is 150 students. That's the size of a typical med class. And Brown itself is a smaller university than a lot of other ones. So I think something that I wish I knew was how different it's going to feel being in such a close-knit group where everyone knows everyone knows everything that happens to everyone, because you're in a class of 150, that's what's going to happen. So coming from bigger high schools, I think for undergrads going into Brown, I think that can be kind of a shock, but it does make you, at least for me, I think you can form closer connections with a lot of people that way, so it can be nice as well. The other thing that I wish I knew going in, because I would definitely taken advantage of it more so this past year, is that Brown has a lot of, at least for the med school, they have a lot of joint classes with RISD. You can do a lot of stuff there. You can do a lot of culinary classes at Johnson & Wales. And so being in such like an academic place and being able to branch out. And, if I wanted to make, if I want to go and make pottery, I can do that at RISD. That's possible. If I wanted to take a nutrition class at Johnson and Wales and then cook food, in their kitchens, that's also possible. So you can do a lot, and it's good to know that beforehand.
That's really, really cool. So I thought one by one, everyone over here could share one anecdote that they personally cherish or something memorable from one of the weekends that at Brown, or just a story that you'll always keep close to you, or some fun party you guys went to at Brown.
Also, because I was reading up about Brown, and I've heard they have really amazing traditions and a very rich culture that's been passed down through like a lot of years. So have you guys been part of any of that, and how has that experience also been for you?
What kind of culture did you hear about? Do you remember some names?
I heard this tradition where there was this one gate, and if you cross it more than 2 times, then you don't graduate in 4 years or something like that.
Oh yeah, the Van Wickle Gates. So, our graduation was virtual. So I've only walked through that gate only once. So I don't think I've graduated. My soul hasn't graduated yet.
I walked through them 2 days ago, but in an opposite scenario to Priyal, I have not yet graduated. I still have another semester left. So, you have both sides. But in terms of traditions, I mean, there's just a lot of small things, like random stories around, like, if you step here, like, this will happen. There's like a seal on the ground. Yeah, I just like, they keep, they're like interesting, and small, kind of scattered. I feel like maybe the big like traditional event sort of would be like spring weekend, but which is like our big like concert weekend in April every year, where they have artists come in for performances, and that's always really fun.
Yeah, so I walked through the Van Wickle Gates earlier this year, and yes, that is definitely a thing. Like, actually, they had faculty lead us, and like no one was allowed to like, turn around and go back the other way. You had to leave a certain way because then you wouldn't graduate, and it was really funny. So that was cool.
Memory of mine that I really enjoyed, being part of the international community at Brown, and also being part of the Global Brown Center. So they throw this event in the spring, and it's called the International Festival. It happens around April. The weather is super nice, and different international and cultural groups put their stalls on the main green, and either they're performing, or they're selling food, or they're selling crafts, or letting people play games. So it's kind of like a nice, fun, like, I don't know, fair kind of situation, carnival kind of situation. And it's just like a nice celebration to celebrate different cultures in one place, and also meet all your international friends.
Cool. Okay, so Kritika, is there any tradition you're looking forward to?
I was most looking forward to seeing Bruno actually, and I wanted to ask Reed if she saw him. He was this giant blue inflatable bear in the middle of Brown, but he has graduated sadly. So everything just seems really fun, even though I haven't actually been there. The online community that I've found is already so friendly and so welcoming, and I've already made so many friends, and I'm super excited.
Cool. Okay, so thank you so much for all your responses.
So after all that, I think it's safe to say this interview is really going to help a lot of prospective Brown students. But before we wind up, we wanted to have a round of rapid fire questions about your university life. Don't worry, the questions will be simple and fun. And we just wanted to give people a greater insight into the life of a student going to Brown. We can start with Kritika.
I'm sorry to repeat that. I'm so sorry.
We were just gonna have a quick rapid fire questions round, and we were thinking we're gonna start with Kritika, if that's okay.
So we're going to like turn by turn and then have just 4 to 5 questions rapid fire. So you can stay on unmute. So Kritika, who's your favorite alumni?
Emma Watson, even though I don't think she graduated properly. I'm a huge Potterhead, so
Cool. Okay. So why do you think Brown chose you?
because I helped convicts build study computer science, and that's a weird extracurricular, and that's the sort of thing they would like.
Cool. Okay. So which professor slash course are you most looking forward to learning from slash studying?
The course that I'm most looking forward to, I'm actually there's this computer science course. I'm forgetting what the name of it actually is, which has only 40 students. And I've heard a lot about it, and I'm extremely excited to do that.
Okay. And if you could choose a mascot for Brown, and it's evident in the chat box here that you like Blueno, is that correct? So what would it be?
Yes, it would be Bluto, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great. We can move on to Kanika now, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Rate your dining hall experience from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being really good food.
Unfortunately, graduate students do not get access to dining hall food, but I cook for myself and I like my cooking. So there's that.
Okay, great. What is one Brown stereotype that holds true?
Liberal hippie kids. That is what Brown is.
Oh, really? That's true?
Yes.
Okay, great. How many libraries are on campus and are they social, silent? Do you use them?
I'm not completely sure. There's different med school libraries, but I know there's a bunch of different libraries on campus at Brown too. I know Sci is one of them, and I think it's super tall and you have a great view of everything. And there are definitely some that are more social than other ones. There's a lot of traditions associated with the libraries themselves too. But yeah, they're pretty open, and they're very beautiful. So yeah.
Okay, great. And what is your favorite aspect of the Brown campus?
Oh my God. I love the old buildings. I love brick buildings. They have a vibe to them. It's so beautiful, and it's just in the perfect location where it's so close to the water, but also really close to good hiking places, but also like 40 minutes away from Boston. So it's like a very good mix of everything. And I personally am not a huge city person. And so being in a place like Providence, where it's sort of like a cultural hub, but it's not super crowded, that's really perfect.
That's great. Thank you.
I just wanted to chime in and say that if at any point anybody else wants to also answer, they're free to do so. Clear, you're up next. So how large slash small can your lectures be? What's the range like?
Yeah, so some lectures, I think a lot of intro to whatever class it is can be, 200-300 people. That's not unusual. And in terms of how small, I think for me, the smallest has been like 5 people, but I know like certain like language classes, they're very niche. Sometimes like Persian, or it depends on what you're learning, can be like 2 people. Sometimes.
One
So it
person
really
for
depends.
me.
What?
One person for me.
Really?
Well, when you make your own class, you're the only one taking
Oh,
it.
right. Right. Yeah, you can make like an independent concentration too, and you can have, those courses where it's just you and the professor, and lots of fun.
Okay, so on average, how many hours of homework did you do, and what class gave you the most homework? Which course had the most workload?
I think for me, so CS15, it's like an intro to CS course. I took it freshman year thinking I'll take a fun CS class. And it was really stressful, lots of work. I think I spent literally all of my fall semester of freshman year trying to do those projects. So yeah, I don't have like an hourly estimate, but I spent, you can say, 70% of that semester trying to solve CS15. Um, yeah.
Okay, and how much did you walk in a day typically?
Yeah, this is something my parents would ask me, like, hey, have you been keeping fit, active? Have you been walking around? How much? Um, so yeah, I think typically on like not very busy days, when I hardly have class or any kind of campus engagement, I would walk like 4 to 5 kilometers. But if it's a busy day, I have lots of classes happening, meeting friends, or club activities happening, it could be like 8 kilometers. And if you're going out at night and it's the weekend, you can easily hit like 15 kilometers that night. So
Okay, and when did you move off campus and where did you live after that?
do you know if I ever moved off campus?
It's a good point. So did you stay all 4 years on campus?
No, I was just joking with you. I did move off campus senior year. That's the only year, because I think junior year, I just wanted to check out, new dorm. They have lots of like nice, 4 people dorms. And it's a very lively dorm in terms of like having all the juniors in that one place, and easy access to every friend that you might possibly have. So yeah, so senior year is when I moved out. I lived on John Street. Again, I think close to like a lot of fun brunch spots like Amy's, Bagel Gourmet. Yeah, it was a fun time. Came with some drama, but overall fun.
Okay, so Reet, you're up next. Would you rather say that your student body is more laid back or fast paced?
Fast paced.
Okay. One school or sporting event that everyone takes like very seriously at Brown.
Ooh. Okay, I'll say the first one that came to mind. Brown versus Harvard football game.
How do you like the Providence area?
I love Providence. Like Kanika, I'm not a huge big city person. And so being able to just go downtown and interact with the RISD community or like just downtown Providence is really nice. I really enjoy Providence.
And one thing only you know about Brown.
Interesting. Well, okay, not just me, but like a small subset of people know this, but the List Art Center 5th floor balcony is beautiful and has wonderful views of downtown Providence and is open to anyone.
I'm sure Kritika can use a lot of the stuff that she just said.
I think a lot of
last-
mental notes.
So last question for everyone. Should everyone watching this right now apply to Brown?
Yes.
Yes, only if you feel like it's a place you would enjoy. So keeping in mind, Providence is a smaller city. The people at Brown, I guess we showed a bit of personality, distinct personalities, a very different personalities Brown students can have. And yeah, the academic selections that you have at Brown. So if those, whatever we said on this call makes sense to you, and then definitely apply, but don't apply just because everyone else is applying or because it's an Ivy or because it's a prestigious school. But yes, you should apply.
Yeah, I would say very similarly, it's a great place to be. And if anything that we said resonates with you, then definitely apply. But at the end of the day, you want to go somewhere where you're comfortable. You don't want to be stuck somewhere for 4 years that you don't like. So keep that in mind, although Brown's a great place for a lot of different types of people.
Thank you all so much for your time. It's been great speaking with all of you, and I'm sure that everyone watching this and prospective Brown students will gain a lot from hearing you guys and everything that you guys said. And once again, this is just a quick reminder for everyone to click the link in our description box below and donate to our COVID-19 crowdfunding campaign in association with Give India Uplift and the Ujala Foundation. Thank you all for supporting this cause, and thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for doing this. It was great being here.
Yeah, it was great talking to y'all.
Thank you.